Just one touch, tell me who you are, here beneath the skies of a star. It seems we are on. Hello, everybody.
Yes, we are on, and I'm not sure if that actually was a good idea to actually start with the song of Skies of a Star, but still we are here now, and we will talk a little bit about the show, because who I have here is, of course, Cheetah himself. He's not
Hello.
only just the chairman of this convention, but also the one who directs everything pretty much inside the show. So if you usually have some kind of question about what happened there, he is pretty much the best to go with. And so to give you a little better understanding about the show that is to come in just a half an hour, we invited him that he can talk a little bit about himself and the show.
Yeah. Hello. I'm Cheetah. I'm the director and one of the main writers of this craziness that's called the Paw Patrol. And we are about to see the final edited and on-screen viewable version of The Skies of a Star, our show from 2017, which I dare say was pretty much one of the most ambitious shows we ever made. And I think even though the production only took us about maybe 3/4 of a year, I think we all aged about like at least 5 years during that production.
Definitely. I totally agree on that part. By the way, I was part of that show. I was Mr. Welch there, so I know a little bit from the behind, but still I would like to keep it for Cheetah that he tells us how actually the production was. For example, where was actually the idea coming from?
Oh, the idea. Well, there's usually not that one moment where the idea comes. The initial idea was, how would it be if you would meet an intelligent being that you can only talk to with your mind? And how would that relationship work if you knew what they were thinking and they knew what you are thinking? And then we came up with the idea that only one person actually has that ability, and how hard it would be to for that one person to überzeugen, to convince. Good morning, indeed. Cheetah.
Hey there.
To convince everybody that this is actually a person they're dealing with and not just an animal. So one of the main themes of the show is how speech makes a difference, how we see animals as intelligent or not, and how we never really know what's going on in an animal's mind unless we could see into it. That's the main idea that the show started with, the writing started with.
Okay, so that is pretty much the reason for author there, I guess.
Yes.
But why a dragon?
Why a dragon? She's not a dragon. See, she is. We called her an Erdesian Longwing. Yeah. What was the German? Erdesianischer Langflügler. Großflügler. Yeah. And everybody thinks she's a dragon because she has that dragon-like form with wings and long tail, but she has feathers all over, and she doesn't know what a dragon is. She has no notion of human culture, and so she's just, well, what the heck, what you're talking about? What's a dragon? I'm not a dragon, I'm just me.
I think it was an absolutely great idea, especially with her, and made a lot of the fantasy genre a little bit upside down. But I also know that the makers behind author had quite a living with that, especially the time they put into the puppet. I know that it was one of the most complicated puppets we ever created. Am I correct?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Theo, our master puppet builder, ran the project, and I think there were at least a dozen people involved in making this puppet. They met for months every weekend and putting more stuff into it. We started the design process for the puppets really early in production because we knew it would be hard. Worst case, it takes 6 people to play this thing, and she's more than 2 meters long. And of course, yes, we had never built anything like that. So many small iterations over many hard weekends. With Theo, Haku, I think Kida, Fervin. I have no idea how many more people were there. We basically took every volunteer we could get for this.
I think everyone appreciates pretty much what actually came around, because Arthur was just a sight to be behold. He was, I
Yeah,
think,
and we completely fell in love with our own character, and we've been bringing the puppet back to EF every year because everybody just likes Arthur, and she sort of developed a bit of a life of her own because she's just so cute.
I can't tell anything else. She is absolutely lovely, especially with Tani making her voices. Though I heard there were a lot of difficulties with, for example, also the recording of the show. So you had to make a lot of noises there yourself.
Yeah. Preparing this release that we're going to see today, that was a lot of work too, because every puppet show is. The reason for that, why it takes so long to make viewable videos of these shows, is that the shows are very imperfect. And in a live situation, nobody gives a damn about that, because there's the whole atmosphere, there's the joint experience of 1,000 people in the room. And when you prepare a puppet show for something that you're going to watch in your living room on a screen, you will have a much more analytic look at the picture, and you will have a much better reception of the sound effects. You will think more about what is happening, so you will more likely be to actually try and follow the story. And that's when all the little things that went wrong, because we are simply not that professional, add up. And so it takes a couple of months to edit everything together and fix all the little things in post, so that you have a viewing experience that is as good as what you had in your memories from the evening when we actually played this.
Still, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will appreciate what they will see in just 20 minutes, because it is pretty much what you envisioned, as far as I know, because there were also some hiccups during the show that were not that perfect.
Oh, yes. I'm not sure if I should talk about this before the show, or if I should talk about this after the show and then ask people if they noticed. Because if I mention all the glitches now, I don't want people to look for it. One little thing. Oh, fuel. Thank you. One thing you will notice, for example, that is something often you find out after the fact, that something wasn't quite as planned, and while it didn't go entirely wrong, it also didn't quite go right. For example, the cameras that are set up in the audience room to film the show are usually set up for standard stage events, and so you usually are on eye height with actors. But the setup in the puppet show, on the puppet show stage, is built in a way to be watched from the position of the audience. So the audience is looking up at the stage, and that means that everything that is towards the back of the puppet stage, it's a box that is roughly 4 meters deep. So everything that goes to the back of the puppet stage is built at a higher elevation, so that when the audience looks up at it, everything seems to be on one level. However, if you now film this with the regular cameras, who are adjusted for regular stage shows with people on the stage, they are simply set up too high. So during this recording, you will probably see a lot of stuff that goes on underneath props that you're not supposed to see, and you're going to see a lot of puppeteers' heads. Just try to ignore them. We all know it's puppet theater, so why pretend? Just look at the characters, enjoy the show. It's something that's not possible to fix after the fact.
I think we can only agree on that point, especially since we have very different characters usually behind the stage. We don't have puppeteers who are on the same, height usually. We have people who are very, very tall and people that are not that tall.
Yes, that too, yeah. Puppeteers all come in different heights, and with volunteers, you don't have a choice. You work with the people you like. You work with your friends, no matter how tall they are. Yeah, I could probably hold a panel about an hour with just the war stories from that show. For example, one thing that happened is to make Arthur fly, we built a large platform about 2 by 3 meters or so, with that had wheels underneath, and then there was like a scaffold out of 2 by 4 planks, and Arthur would hang from above like from a galgen, whatever that word is. Yes, to make that work, we need enough space left of the main stage and right of the main stage to actually put this thing. And in that one scene where the planes are going around, the planes have to traverse the stage in one direction in front of the stage and then roll backstage. So we need a lot of clearance there. And it worked perfectly in rehearsal. We marked down all the spaces we had on a parking lot in front of a shopping center. And so we had a 2-scale model of the space that we would have to roll these things around. Yes, and then at the final show, we found out that we were not the only ones who needed that space, because the Paw Patrol is the last event before the dance. And there was a complete DJ booth, 5 meters high, with effect lights and everything permanently built in that space that we needed to turn. And it was pure luck we could still play it. We took the DJ booth that was stored in the area next to the stage where we would turn and kind of managed to like rotate it in a fashion that we could still get past. But as a side effect, we had a part of the DJ booth rig go up into the projection. And that's the one where I said, okay, just beep it. We're doing it anyway.
It was
yeah.
It was absolutely great. In the end, I think no one actually saw the mankos we have there, the problems with pretty much arranging everything with the planes and the shooting scene there.
Oh yeah, one of the best things when you do a show like this is that no one in your audience knows how it was intended to work. So we can always say, oh yeah, that's how we always want to do it. That's completely normal. We planned it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good part, but you said it in the very beginning. Most of the people who are usually seeing the show, especially live, have a completely other connection there. And I think the same goes, for example, for you and all the puppeteers who are there, and everyone who's helping with the show. So there's usually also a very good emotional connection usually to what is happening on stage, and maybe even to certain characters.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, I'm always happy when people get to the same conclusion than what we had in our heads. I even more like it when people laugh about the jokes we actually wrote. But audiences are completely unpredictable. It's always very, very funny to see how an audience reacts to something you wrote. Yeah, and for everyone who is watching the show for the first time, I know 3 hours is a long time, and I'm afraid the pace stumbles a bit in the second act, but just stay with us. I promise you the last act is really good. So don't miss the end of the story. It's really, really good.
I can only agree on that part, especially when everything is getting wrapped up and we have a little bit more story that is coming to the end and a twist that is also very interesting. So yes, please stay from there. But still, we have a little bit more moments that we can still talk about the show. We have still more 40 minutes something. So
yeah, is there anything going on in the chat right now?
Sorry. I should not be muted here. Yes, there should be something. However, I didn't prepare someone who could be going with questions right now. So this is a little bit improvised, right? And I have to look it up.
Yeah, let me have a second. All right.
Cheetah, you're still using Windows. Can you please
yes,
tell why
I am.
you look why they are asking that?
Yes, I'm still using Windows. I mean, that's not a question for that show, though. that was 3 years earlier. Okay, anyone, if anyone has any questions, just dump them in the Twitch chat, and I'll have a look at it and try to answer it. But yeah, I think the biggest blooper in this show that I don't know. Sometimes I leave glitches in the recording because they were part of the fun, and sometimes we have glitches that are just breaking the show, and those I usually edit out. One thing that would have broken the show and still, kind of sort of worked in the live situation was in the very last scene, there is a character that does not have a microphone for technical reasons. Usually we do all the voices live. But in this case, the voice of this character was also our backstage manager. So she was not available for voice acting. So since she had only had like 5 lines or so, we pre-recorded those lines, and I was supposed to play them at the appropriate time, and nobody would notice. Yeah, what happened? This show was grotesquely over-ambitious, and I was still editing sound effects a day before the show. And what completely slipped my mind was that there were pre-recorded lines for this character, and I did not program them into my sample computer. So when that scene started, the first characters said their lines, and there was silence. And I was sitting in the control booth like, what's holding everyone up? And then my backstage intercom rang, and Risa said, "Where's the sound?" And I'm like, "What sound?" And I was like, "Oops, shit! Can someone improvise?" And Tani, who played Arthur, luckily left all the other lines in her version of the script, and so she like changed her voice and read both roles. But in the middle, we had about like a minute of dead air, and that had to be edited out because it completely ruined the entire flow. The music didn't match anymore. Everybody was scratching their heads. So yeah, stuff like that we usually edit out. But I'm pretty sure there's still lots of funny stuff you can spot where we just, I don't know, screwed up.
Come on.
But that's part of the fun of doing something live. That's just part of the thrill.
Definitely.
Not everything is going to work.
I think I still can remember that we actually did the 3.2 2 times because of sound issues at the very beginning.
Yeah, that is correct too. Yeah, we started that one over because one of the microphones just decided to drop out exactly at the beginning of the scene. We do microphone checks before every scene, but sometimes just Murphy's Law strikes and something stops working the moment you need it. Happens. But a lot of things just worked beautifully. We did a lot of things that we did not think we could actually do in the beginning.
Definitely.
So
I would say the airships definitely, especially the flying scene. That was one of the hardest ones we had. But despite of that, also, for example, most of the running and acting that we had there. Remembering the 2 extras that we had, for example, who had to shoot after Arthur and Cal and Florence after they jumped out of the ship. So we had to pretty much put it after pretty late time and had to tell the people, you have to do that, you're shooting there. Please do that.
But again, I mean, that's all part of the experience, and it wouldn't be us if we wouldn't be trying to push our limits. And we did push limits a little bit hard for that, but yeah. Oh, I see one question popping up. If we're going to make this available on YouTube, yes, of course we will. Right after this screening today, some point later in the evening, we're going to make it available for our supporters on Patreon first. And then 4 weeks later, this will be available for everyone. So that means you can still become one of our patrons if you like to. And if you allow me that shameless plug, you are going to get early access to everything we post on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel too, that we post lots of behind-the-scenes info and making-of features, and this is also where we put all our old shows. We have other stuff there, like a playlist with all the title songs and, well, all the fan stuff.
And you should really watch it. There's a lot of stuff they're putting up currently on the Patreon itself. And of course, if you are a Patreon, you get also the newest information about the next production. So also look forward to that, because there will also be a show next year. So
hopefully.
We hope definitely so. You're at least producing it right now, and I already had a glimpse what is coming there. But right now we are still talking about Skies of Astar.
Yes, we are.
I think something that went very, very well was the relationship between the 3 main characters there. And this time we didn't go with something very, very common, but rather something, as you said, the problem of the translation of speech and how people should react there. I would say we did it very, very good.
Yeah, I'm actually super glad it worked out the way I wanted to, because it's always hard to have a character that just stops moving while she's talking. And there are entire segments where there's no movement on screen and you're just hearing the telepathic communication. But that's a bit unusual for a visual medium like that. And I don't think the pros would have done it like that, but I don't know. We couldn't come with any other way, and I think it worked nicely. And I like to believe we had fairly original characters. I mean, if you open tvtropes.org, you can probably still check off the list of everything that we did. But still, yeah, I'm at least the redemption arc of the bad guy is a little bit elaborate than the one in Demon Hunters, where the guy basically turns around in one scene.
That is very true. Cal has a very, very interesting development there. He's starting out as a thug, more or less, and becoming one of the main
Don't
cast.
spoil everything. There's still people who haven't seen this yet.
Point taken. Point taken. Cal is one of the very bad people, and he should feel bad. Okay. But still.
So yeah, we are also going to talk a lot of the Skies of Astar in our panel that I'm doing with Haku together tomorrow at 2:15 p.m. On Sunday, CEST. Don't ask me what the other time zones are. I'm not very good at that. So we're going to talk a lot more about how little things you write into a script can have big consequences for the people who have to realize it. And this show is a very good example of putting a few lines in a script and causing other people a lot of grief and work with that. Like, oh yeah, can we have this dragon creature that's 2 meters long and has wings and can fly and is big enough to fit 3 other puppets on her back and stuff like that. Yeah, at Euroferns, we barely made the show work. We really barely made it work. We learned a lot of lessons from this show. Things we should do different, things that we should not attempt like that any time again. I remember that we had to put in extra rehearsals backstage to take to check certain props because the rehearsal slot that we had been allotted would not nearly fit to try out all the things we needed to still try out. And we were still building props until very shortly before the show. And that's usually a very red warning flag that something in the process has gone horribly wrong. So it is going to be very, very nice today to just watch the show without any stress and, with at least the minor kinks ironed out and just look at the... Look at the... God, stop distracting me back there. They're making funny faces at me. What was I about to say? Thank you for throwing me off. And just remember the good things about the show because we had some tough talks and negotiations in our feedback meeting, our internal feedback meeting up after the show of the stuff we are definitely not going to try again. But anyway, the stuff that worked, it was a great show. Just enjoy it as it is, and so am I.
I can only agree on that point. It is absolutely phenomenal what we did there. Yes, it was completely crazy. A lot of people were quite exhausted after the show, especially since one of our managers actually fell ill beforehand. That made everything a lot more difficult. And it was absolutely great what the people did behind there and actually stepped in to help and make the show still, even if someone very important dropped beforehand.
Greg Markage says, poor Cheetah will have flashbacks and will sit directing this from his living room. It's actually Jarek's living room, but yeah, I'm going to clap after every scene. You bet. And someone else says, yeah, the first time the Paw Patrol is going to start on time. Yes, indeed. If this is not going to start on time, then BBF, I wish someone should call an ambulance and see what happened to BBF. Because he's got the honor to press the mighty play button today for us.
Definitely, but so far he seems pretty fine and very, very happy about what is currently with EFO in general. I can maybe drop some information right now because we are about to hit something about 2,400 people on Discord. And we had somewhat about 11,000 somewhat watchers of this Twitch live stream. So, and this was just the beginning on Friday. There are still this very day that is currently running, and of course tomorrow as well, where, just Cheetah said, we'll also have another talk about how script writing usually goes and, well, where it usually ends. And Skies
I have a bet going on with Ice Folks that if anyone here manages to sit through the whole thing, then I'm going to give him. I can't disclose that here, but yeah, he will get something from me. So we dare you to watch it.
Definitely. By the way, Cheetah, you will still have the possibility to talk, of course, with the people in the text chat that will be also open through the whole Paw Pit show. So if people are stating questions, maybe you can help them a little bit with some information from behind the curtain.
Yes, I'll be definitely, during the show, I'll be definitely having an eye on the Twitch chat, so if there's anything you'd like to know or tell me, just do. And I'll probably try to answer you.
Okay. I also meant the Discord chat, so it would be great if you could be there.
Yes, I'm already in the chat. I have no idea how many chats I will be able to monitor at the same time, but I'll do my best.
Seems fine. Okay. I think we are running more or less out of time already because their show will be coming up. We have only 1 more minute. So any last words, Cheetah, you would like to tell the people before the show is running?
The last thing, before the show starts and everyone's seated and the lights are out, that I say usually is, go. That's always the last thing that puppeteers hear from me before the show starts.
But before we're joining completely in, I would like to give everyone a good chance to actually tell a little bit about themselves. So, first off, I would introduce the different kinds of people we currently have here. So, I would start from the very left I can see right now. That is, for example, the main actor behind Florence. That is Panhese Kirchiroy. Welcome on the screen.
Hi.
Hi, hi. Right next to her, there is the main voice of Caligula the Great. We have Ice Folks there.
The Savior.
Okay, Caligula the Savior. Sorry for that. And as I just said,
hello everybody.
And as I just said, we also have the beautiful voice of our not dragon, but the Edesian Brightwing. We have Tani the Real.
Okay, let's use my proper voice, you know. Hello, hi.
Hey there. And just for the occasion, also Cheetah joins us with he's not voicing anyone despite of himself. Hey, Cheetah.
Hi.
Come on. Okay, I see you have a good party on your end as well. So I hope you also enjoyed the video of everything that we just produced a few years ago.
Yeah. Suran and Tender Muscle worked their asses off for the video edit, and I did all the sound editing.
Okay. The problem we have right now is that when you're talking, we hear it also via Tani, so it is very interesting right now. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to try and mute the microphones when we're not talking.
That sounds absolutely fine to me. But well, since this show was made by people who are not puppeteers all the time, I would like to go on with the first question I have in mind is, what are you actually doing next to be the puppeteering? So, how do you actually end up also being there? There, I would like to start.
Yeah, I can start if.
Okay, then go with Kel.
I in my non-puppeteer life, I am a software quality engineer at a German Linux distributor. I enjoy programming, making music, doing 3D modeling for things like Second Life and all that stuff. Yeah, how do you stumble upon a group of puppeteers and be part of a show like this? Well, you found them, right? You create them. You create the team. I am one of the original founders of the team, together with Jarek, Linnert, and Fairlight. And yeah, we started at the Eurofriends 6 with a very simple variety show kind of thing, and that, well, yeah, evolved into the great, an extremely powerful, I would say, team that we have right now.
Thank you very much. How about you, Pan? What do you do actually next to being puppeteer, and how did you stumble upon the Puppet Show?
Wait, there's a life aside from being a puppeteer? That's news to me, but I guess I give it a try. I'm a freelance artist, and I'm occasionally dabbling in voice acting as well. And in my free time, I'm the basic, just playing video games, doing voice acting, reading, playing Puppet Show stuff, which is actually a lot of fun. And I didn't actually really stumble upon the show. I was dragged into it, and I didn't find a chance to leave until today. So, well, that's it.
And you're not even leaving today.
Shit. Missed my chance.
Well, so long. So it's great actually to have you still there. And also who we're still there is Tani. What are you actually doing next to the being puppeteer?
I thought the question was, what are you?
Okay, what is Tani the Real? I think we are going quite philosophical with that, but go on. We are a guest.
That would take too long. Oh, well. Yeah, my profession is I'm a media designer from Germany, doing all kind of print stuff and web stuff and design stuff. I'm also artist. I love to draw since I can think. And yeah, the one who dragged me in was actually Fairlight. It was at a Method Minicon. I can't remember which one it was or how many years it's already been, but I think you're referring 9, the one in the tent. That was the first one that I joined, and well, we survived. And despite all the trouble we had there, I stayed, and I never regretted it. It's just a lot of fun. I love voice acting. I haven't done anything with voice acting like professional or other projects, but that's also why I enjoy the Puppet Show and the team and the playing and everything so much. And yeah, so far I'm still here and I'm not planning to quit.
That sounds absolutely fine. Thank you very much. And also for the chairman himself. What are you actually doing?
What's my life's purpose? I don't know. In some years, actually, the Puppet Show feels more like my real job, and my real job feels more like the stuff I need to pay the bills. So I work in IT. I'm a system administrator, so I take care of servers and printers and stuff like that. Pretty boring, actually, compared to puppeteering.
We all have something that is actually setting us back into reality, I think. So that's absolutely fine. But there comes also my second question for you, or third in that regard, is did the Puppet Show ever actually influence your real life? Was maybe there a certain piece or a certain situation that you noticed that you had something from the Puppet Show influence what you did there?
When does it not? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're co-writing a story together with Cheetah, I myself at least, when Puppet Show writing starts, there is not much left than Puppet Show writing. It is driving back and forth, meeting each other, writing the script, then talking online about it. And yeah, it has a big influence on at least my real life while we are planning, and then after or while the rehearsals are running. Yeah, you're always in touch with the team, and yeah, it has a lot of influence.
Okay.
Yeah, for a long time of the year, you don't get to do anything else in your spare time. At least for me and Icefox and some of the core stuff, it's especially the puppet builders. They also have a lot of time to sink into this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many hundreds of hours we spend each year doing this. There's a whole half a year in my calendar where I have literally no spare time besides doing Puppet Show and EF stuff.
It's pretty much understandable. Maybe Tani?
Yeah, it definitely has an influence on my real life.
Mm-hmm.
Not only emotional, also the physical part, because like it's one of the most painful months in the week in the year, and actually it forces you to do some training, so it also influences you physically. Regarding the characters, it's really interesting. It's different. Sometimes you more influence the character, and sometimes the character influences you. So just as an example, I once played a white tigress, which was one of the villains, which was a lot of fun because I like playing villains. But it was more like playing that character. For example, for the show with Hayes, the wolf, the spiritual wolf, that meant a lot more to me, because actually the wolf is also my spirit animal. So I had a really good feeling for it, and a connection. And I was thinking about the things happening in the show and what have been said and how those worlds could work and everything. That was actually quite a big influence. So I really love the show, and I think it still touches me very much.
I think everyone can relate there. Unfortunately, we just lost Pan and Icefox. They just dropped out. I think they were coming back. So I think we are going to the next question already, because you made a perfect transition for that. And that was about the character. Since you just said that you are influencing the character, and sometimes it also influences you a little bit. Had you ever a problem at some point to actually let go of a character? You was so much into it, or had so much time you put into the character, that you had really hard time to just cast them aside after the show and not thinking about them anymore?
Yes, actually, very often. To start with, the first character that I played back then was Mika, the pretty hot-tempered snow leopardess. It was one of the folk mainest puppets. It was still that easy back then. And I think she was kind of a mirror of myself. So because sometimes I'm also a little bit hot-tempered and maybe a little bit impatient and stuff, but not meaning it in a bad way, of course. And so Mika was pretty much me. And same with Hayes. I wouldn't say Hayes is me, but also Hayes I have a pretty good connection to her, and she is also living on our sofa, so I will never get rid of her. So, but I think those were the characters that I had the best connection to, and that definitely never left.
What definitely helps when creating those characters is that I've known Tani for, I don't know, almost 20 years or so. And for some characters we have no idea who is going to play them, but the main characters we usually determine pretty much early on who the puppeteers are going to be. So since I know the puppeteers, I try to come up with characters that incorporate characteristics from the people who are playing it. And that's a lot of fun. I can put a lot of personal things into the character that I know of, and it helps everyone enjoy it more and be more authentic when they're playing it. So it's a little trick there.
People who will probably do the certain kind of characters, because as Tani just said, most often actually the person decides what the character will be about. And I think it's good to have a good insight what maybe we'll be ending up with. I hope that this question will go a little longer, but unfortunately, since Pan and Ice haven't returned yet, I would still go on. Okay, I just received the information that Discord just died down for them, so I hope they will be returning in a few moments. For that time, I would still look up for the next question that we can just call now and not completely destroy it.
If I'm suddenly jumping up and running around, then it's just because of the wasps over here. Like, they're flying all around here. So, just to give you a warning.
Okay. I think that will be absolutely fine. So far, we're understanding you per good. And it's great to also see that people are outside right now. I think it's a little bit more comfortable than actually staying indoors, because it's still quite hot in most of the places. And having a fresh breeze of air is always.
Yeah, we had a big storm coming through right when we started watching the show, and we were like, "Oh, God, no idea if we're going to stay out here." But it all cleared up. It's all nice. It's really, really chill here.
To be honest, so far it looks very, very good. And I hope that we'll be staying like this. Otherwise, we have one wet cheetah and a very damp Schnolf. Okay.
And I soak up a lot of water.
I think I can relate on that regard. But still, I would just go on with the questions that we have right now and just hope that the rest of the people will... Oh, they are back. They are back. I see them.
Discord was playing stupid and wanted me to open an app instead of just launching the site in the web browser. So, we're back. Sorry.
Welcome back. You haven't missed much, but I still would like to answer, get the questions to you as well. The question you dropped out on was the one that...
Yeah, which one was it? Find it.
Yes, I'm on it. Give me a second.
Let me find it as well.
I wanted to ask Pan if she was ever approached by someone actually outside of the production about a certain character she spoke.
You mean like at EF or just
anywhere? To be honest,
For voice acting, right?
I mean, yes. Sometimes people talk to you about it, like at EF, for example. But also outside of EF, I was approached. Please check this. Thank you. For a voice acting gig for a animated movie. I think done by Q.
Yes.
Few years back, and also for a professional job for also like some kind of animated children's movie in an observatory, I think it was, which was quite the experience to make. So yeah, I have been approached, and it is actually a lot of fun, and I'm incredibly thankful for the Puppet Show because I could learn voice acting there and improve my English and stuff like that, and that really helped a lot in that aspect.
I think that is absolutely great, especially that the Puppet Show enabled something like this. And you also, I guess, had a good time with actually the new production that you had there, even if it wasn't the Puppet team.
Yeah, I mean, the Puppet Show is always like a little bit more special because you get more freedom to really act out the characters and like develop the characters. And not just and not just like voice what you're being told. So that's something that I really do appreciate about the Puppet Show. Like you get some creative freedom. You can like really act and not just do a voiceover or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think this is pretty much the same for everyone else here, I guess, huh? Icebox?
Yeah, it is. It is. In the Puppet Show, of course, we write our own characters. So we know what we want, we know how to get what we want, basically. And then we can try it out. And if something doesn't really work, we just modify it until we can make it work. And on a professional job, you don't really have that luxury. You usually get your lines, and there's a director who says, yeah, deliver it in this way. And then you do that, and hopefully do that to the... Yeah, so the way that the director wants it, and otherwise you have to learn it in another way and not be yourself. And yeah, it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, the moment when the director says that was nice, but now again with feeling.
I think
actually,
we had
it's more usually like that was nice, but now again with a little bit less feeling. Because
that's usually when the audio engineer's glasses burst. That's when we are told that we should dial back the feeling a little.
And yeah, sometimes I put in little words just to tease people, especially the voice acting. I know what the not the pet peeves, the what
the little slips that people do.
Yeah. And so sometimes I slip words in like discombobulated, and just watch people fail at it because I'm an asshole.
I know. What was it for me? Get away from the carcass. or something like this.
Carcass.
Carcass.
That took so many takes to get right.
Just remember the laughing creatures in the passage. That was one training sentence that we gave to one of our actors, because that were the 3 words that he needed to learn to pronounce correctly, and then we gave him like this sentence to practice. So laughing creatures in the passage.
It's unbelievable hard to do to both write and rehearse and play a show in a foreign language. We would do so much better if we just could perform it in German, but then nobody would understand what the hell we're saying. So, yep, you get free accents and free Germanisms with it. I think we got a little bit better since we're asking native speaker to actually edit our dialogues, but still, it is very, very obviously all German translated into English. So.
Okay. I just got the information from the people from my site that we have some questions from the audience already.
Alrighty,
bring it on.
Yeah. Give me a second. I just want to ask if it's about you right now, because the next part will be something else. Okay, the first one is for Cheetah. It is actually the question: where are your motivations coming from, and maybe all the inspirations?
The inspiration, I don't know. It just comes. I'm often inspired by stuff that happens in real life, or it's often stuff that my friends have gone through, or something that I have gone through, because you can only really write about something that you can relate to, you have some knowledge of. So we usually start with the idea and then try the character-based approach of thinking, what would I do if I were in the position the character is in, and then work step by step. And well, it sounds easy, which it isn't, but basically the plot then writes itself. It just sometimes doesn't go where you want it to go. And what was the other part of the question again? You're still mute. I forgot the first part of the question. You have to repeat it.
Okay, I just got the information that I was just muted in the background. Thank you very much for that. The second part of the question was the inspiration you had. So the first one was the motivation.
That was the part I answered. The first part.
The first part is the motivation.
The motivation. Well, there's a fucking deadline. If you don't do it, you're screwed. That's a big motivation. And of course, I like telling stories, and you know, the biggest compliment for me if I see people crying in the audience, because then I know that, or just in general, when I see that the story we were able to tell could reach people on an emotional level and gave them something to remember for possibly their entire life, that is entirely the biggest reward you can think of. It is such a creative outlet, and yeah, it's that just makes it all worth. We had days before the con where we're sitting around, you know, getting drunk on cheap wine, going like, "Why do we do this? Seriously, I've forgotten. Tell me." And then at the end of the show, everyone stands up, goes like, "Whoa!" and we are like, "Yeah, let's do it again." So yeah, 2 aspects of that: the creative outlet. And then the whole community thing, giving something to the community and see it strike a vibe. That's a very strong motivation on my side.
Mm-hmm. I think many people can actually relate to that. The second question we got already goes... Wait a second. Yes, the second question will be for a later part, but I have another question that we can state right now. It's about does the Paw Patrol show feel like a job or a hobby? I think that is a deep one.
Yeah, sometimes it can feel like a job, but it's a job that you like doing. So it is not like a paid job where you go and you have to do it because it pays your bills. But it's more like, yeah, you have a list of things that you have to do to finish this show. This is the job part. But in the end, when you start doing it, it feels right, and it feels like it is something you enjoy doing anyway. So that's the hobby part.
It is very rewarding in that sense, like a very rewarding job. Like when you have a hobby and then you start doing that hobby as a job, and only have like really nice jobs, then that's a bit like the puppet show, I think.
Okay. Tani, maybe also an argument there? You're still muted?
Yeah. I paid attention. Can you repeat the question again? I was so fascinated listening to them that I forgot the original question.
The question.
Job or hobby? Puppet show.
You know, is the puppet show your hobby or even a job?
Okay. Definitely, I would say it's at least it's pretty much one of several jobs, which makes it sometimes really exhausting and tricky because, of course, when you're going to Eurofurence, you could only do one job, but that would be boring. So you do the charity stuff and you do the dealer stand as an artist and the art show and the puppet show. And yeah, then that's the point when you feel like sitting at work and everybody is throwing work and tasks at you and you think, how am I supposed to handle all of them? Because you need to sleep at some point, at least a little bit. But I see it more as a hobby because I chose to do it, because I want to do it. Same like the other hobby jobs, or however you want to call them. And you could reduce the stress by canceling some of them, but you don't really want to. At some point, I took a break for 1 year to just regain some energy and to take care about the other 3 jobs, if I call it like that. I think it was actually a good idea, because even though it felt very hard to step down for 1 year, it gave me back a lot of energy. So, and you also notice what you're missing if you don't do it. So, yeah. I think before you're getting a burnout, it's always good to take a break to get back to it and really enjoy it again.
I think that was Eurofurence 20, the Keepers of the Light.
It was the first Keepers of the Light, yes. I remember the one sitting in the audience with I think there was a really big delay, so that it was also a really weird feeling to experience it from the audience side for once. But it was also absolutely amazing to see it from the other side for once. Not just butts and sweaty people and fur and everything, but really on the other side, like all the backdrops and the lighting effects, and it looked so awesome. That was definitely an experience that I'm missing. I love to play, but I also miss to watch it. Okay, we can watch it afterwards. That's a reward as well.
Right now we can.
It's not the same.
Cheetah, how's it about for you? I think you already said that is a mixture of both for you.
Yeah, I already told you. But talking about the reward, actually, it was a lot of fun to watch this with the commentary in the chat going on. So we are thinking of maybe doing video premieres in the future, so that we make it more of an event and get people to join in the chat, so we can chat while we watch. That was surprisingly entertaining. So yeah, but for me too, it's a job, but it's also a devotion. It's a job I chose.
Well, I guess a lot of people are currently very happy about what we're currently doing with the whole Eurofurence Online, and of course what the Puppet Show just did with premiering Skies of a Star with it. And I guess I'm very happy that actually you're also enjoying it, just watching it right now, and also having the commentary by the people who are watching.
What was actually fun, I have to drop that in. We have a non-furry friend, or I would say a still not furry friend, maybe. And I gave him the link, and actually he was watching the stream, and then I was in the other panel, so I couldn't reply right away, but he was like, do you know if the Puppet Show will be online later, because he has an appointment and he can't watch the whole show now? And then like 5 minutes later, oh, forget about it, I already found out. They will upload it in 4 weeks, so I'm gonna watch it there. I think that's pretty cool.
Can totally relate. Okay, since we are progressing in our time slots, I would like to ask a little bit more about the show itself. So we are stopping with the questions about the Puppet Show itself or the people, but going to the different kinds of characters and experiences you had with this show, The Skies of a Star. The first question I have there is, what was the most screwed moment when playing or rehearse of Skies of Astar that you can now laugh about?
The most what? Please, can you repeat?
Most screwed up moment.
Indeed.
So the biggest blooper.
Yeah.
That's now funny.
Indeed.
I think it is very funny that we had to basically on the fly. Tani basically had to on the fly take up another role because there was no pre-rec for it, and that should have been there in the last scene. And everyone was like, "Okay, why is there no sound?" Then we got the message, "Oh, there is no sound." Okay, who has a non-personalized script where all these lines are still in there? And Tani had it, and then
I remember
that line. I think that was the one that I at least can still laugh about.
That's true.
Was it Florence's mother?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was Eva.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Another super funny moment was, and I saw this. I saw this in the recording today. I didn't realize it so much before. When Cal gets out of the bathtub, he is supposed to take the towel with him and wrap it around his waist. But the towel dropped and it fell right through the stage floor and was lost forever. So Cal got out of the bathtub completely naked directly after the conversation between Florence and Arthur about Cal being naked. And for some reason, Florence is staring at his crotch for the entire rest of the scene. And I swear that was not intentional, but it is so funny in hindsight.
Yeah, that is how you stay in character, right?
I think it was.
Sure how that happened.
I think she just had a cramp in her hand, but still.
I don't think so. I saw the towel falling, but I wasn't aware that I kept looking down. I actually only meant to glance.
It was completely accidental.
Well, I guess we got there with a very happy accident. That's a good one. That was a good one. Do we have another one, maybe?
It
For
takes
this show, not so much for me.
it takes a lot of thinking because so many things went wrong that it's hard to pick a favorite.
I think one of the maybe it's not really the answer to that question, but when you read in the script just one line and then author jumps on the truck and you go like, seriously, we just managed to walk with her, like with 5 people carrying her. How are we supposed to jump on that truck with her? Like one line, okay, and then we go on. Like
I think we will hear about these things in another talk, right?
Yeah, I
Actually-
maybe you should, because that's not in the other talk. Maybe you should tell the story how the scene with the sheep actually was rehearsed and played.
Oh.
Because I remember Ice Fox fearing for his life many times when that happened.
Oh, that was in hindsight. Yes, in hindsight, it's very funny, right? You stand there with I was the sheep. I was standing there with the sheep on my arm and eating grass and listening to the music. And I had a music cue. Someone gave me a music cue. They said, when this part of the music comes, Arthur will come running right at you. So I had 5 people and a 15-kilo puppet running right at me at full speed. And I was expected to stand there totally calm until it hits me. Yeah, that's what happened. It hit me. And then I threw everything in the air as I was supposed to. And that was the wool fluff that basically got scattered all over the place. And then I had to run with her at the same speed off to wherever the space was beside the stage, and hoping that there's nothing in the way because I couldn't look. I had to walk backwards as fast as I could with flaming Arthur in my face. It was like, it's coming at me.
She's genuinely scary if she charges at you.
Puts up
It
like that.
triggers some primal fear in your brain if you see a dragon thing running at you.
Yeah, it was like, okay, who's gonna stand there and play the sheep? Silence. I said, okay, I do it. Yeah, it was fun. That was really
you did
fun.
a fabulous sheep there. It was great. So thank you very much for your investigation, for what you did there.
I risked my sanity and my health for the puppet show.
Actually,
I wish I could say that, but it was a cool role to play at that moment.
And it's a brilliant transition to one of the next community questions that we have right now. It's about author, and that is about dealing with author. How difficult it was. The people are very interested about that. And I think pretty much hearing just that, a running dragon with 5 people, I think this is a good start.
Yeah, I think it was pretty close to learning to play the piano, because I had that controller with like 20 buttons and switches and all kind of stuff, which was connected with cables to her head to control the ears, the mouth, the eyes, the blinking, sound effects. So there was an additional remote with triggers at the side for the different sound effects. And you had to learn without looking what does what.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and at the same time, of course, it was quite heavy. So I had to invent something like putting a strap around my neck to carry it, because also the head was pushing on it. So it was quite heavy. And playing it, especially, I mean, if you're just standing there and, as you can imagine, 2 hands, controller, where's the third hand to hold my script? I mean, I didn't really have much to talk, but there were scenes where I had to talk. So I pretty much, strapped I had a lanyard around my neck where the script was attached. So I tried to like hold the script and play at the same time, while like 3 people were almost like laying on you and pushing you, and you're like, I need to get back to read my script. So that was a really, really good challenge. But with every rehearsal, the more you trained it, the more you really got one with the whole system. So that was really like, just being her, just playing her. But that was a pretty cool challenge.
And then the director comes and says, "And now jump."
Jump on the truck.
A wild author appears.
Oh man. By the way, a question from my end. Author. How is the name actually pronounced? And I guess there was some kind of background joke about this.
Yeah. So to do it correctly, it is author. So if you say author and a kitten dies.
No, a cute little author baby dies.
That was it. So, so every time you say author, a cute little author baby dies. There's a little bit of background information. Not only that it was a running joke, because we had people that are constantly calling her author. For me, at least, it was important with the TH, because it's a bit of a throwback to a 1960s, 1970s series of novels. Written by Anne McCaffrey, and who knows Anne McCaffrey? For what do you know her? It is for the Dragon Riders series, and the dragons in these series all had names with a TH somewhere in there, and that's why it was important to me, because all dragons, and author's not a dragon, all dragons that I know, and every beast that looks like a dragon has a name with a TH in it. The author had to have one as well. And when she tells the story about her brother and another member of her tribe, she says Onith and Sitho. There's also names with TH in it. So yes, author is the correct way to pronounce it.
Wait, there comes something.
That's the author.
Yes,
the one-man band.
Yeah. I just make it a little bit larger, and yes, we see currently there Tani. To be honest, from our end, it looks just like you're strapped up in there, and it's more in a very uncomfortable fashion. So the insanity suits you usually see, maybe. and someone is just carrying you around. But yeah, I think Arthur was a very interesting character to, to play, also to speak. And regarding the speech itself, Arthur had quite some snarky comments over and over. Was it actually inside the script, or was it something that Tani just got in there?
Yeah, it was in the script. So pretty much, I'm not aware of any major ad-libs from Arthur that she did in the show. I think it was pretty much all as it was written in the script. I think we lost Tani.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
I still see her, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay.
There she is.
I should
If you
not.
see her, yeah. Okay, that's good. Then it's just on my side.
I'm still here.
It's fine.
I heard
Good.
everything you say.
I hope that is a good thing.
All right. Yeah, I think everything was as it was written in the script, and that came pretty much natural. Yeah.
There was some addition we added in the rehearsals because we improvise and joke a lot around in the rehearsals, and when an actor comes on with a good line, we often add it to the script just there because if we all fall over laughing, that's probably a good line to add.
I think that is pretty much the case. Do we have another author question? Look. What inspired the design of Arthur? That is maybe a good question we can ask at least one person here.
Not sure who you're talking about.
Sometimes.
Certainly not me. Well, I mean, Cheetah and Icehawks already had like a rough idea, like not a dragon, but somehow it should remind you of a dragon, but somehow not, and it should have wings and fly and feathers and be cute and fluffy, but also dangerous and ferocious. And actually, I took a lot of inspiration from Trico, from The Last Guardian, the video game, which is why some of Arthur's earlier versions actually had like these bird legs and different snout forms and stuff like that, just to try it out. We settled for something else, of course, which is cuter and hopefully way more easy to build. And yeah, that's actually where a lot of the inspiration actually came from.
I have another funny story about Arthur if you want to hear it. Arthur needed to glow in the dark for the flying scene with the planes. And she has this typical plastic fiber fur, and normal paint doesn't stick on it. But we need to make sure you can see her whole body, and so we tried out different forms of dyes, and there was one where the actual paint particles would stay on the fur as long as you didn't touch it. So we gave Arthur a fresh brush up before the show, so she would be good to see. The problem is that Arthur is actually just as cuddly as she looks. So all stagehands, everyone, puppeteers, if they walk by Arthur, they all go like, "Oh, cute one, pet, 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 pet." The problem is you've now been marked. So if you've indecently touched Arthur during the rehearsal, you will be seen in the UV light. So it's like CSI. You're busted.
Yeah, we actually had someone with a UV light standing at the edge of the stage, checking that everybody who has to go on stage while the UV light is running doesn't have any glowing stuff on them, so that we had to make sure
that reminds me of the.
So that's why he did that.
Yes, that's
That
why he did
reminds
that.
me of
Yeah.
the UV light, the bubbles.
Yes.
You remember the bubbles of that
EF-19.
underwater scene,
Yeah.
and wherever those bubbles were blowing up and exploded, like boop, oh, everything was glowing afterwards.
Yeah, that was hentai. It was a very interesting scene. I think we remember it fondly.
We're going to have a segment about that in the talk tomorrow. Plug, plug, plug.
We're looking out for that. One last question about author. Where did actually the author noise come from? Chirp?
It depends
mean,
which
like-
ones. So mostly, yeah, Tani.
Like where? Like who said what she's supposed to sound like? To be honest, I have no idea. I just did it. Did I? I think I just did it. It was just imagining what would a dragon that mostly can't talk. Of course, she could communicate by thoughts, but who can't really talk. What kind of cute noises would a dragon make? Or not? Sorry, not dragon. Arthur.
Or DC and
Lizard.
Longwing.
And not dragon.
Yeah.
Let's call her a not dragon.
Yes. And it's also actually what is pretty funny, because if you're standing in front of a camera, it's sometimes a little bit hard, like to talk and to not sound stupid or look stupid. But if you hide behind the panel and behind the puppet, you can pretty much do any noise you want because people won't see you. So that's actually it's a nice motivation and also a nice different thing, like to just play and sound like whatever you want. Whatever you wanted to do for a noise, you can do it without feeling too embarrassed.
And then the sounds that Tani made with the microphone were enhanced by sound effects from the sampler. And one of the little knobs on Tani's remote control could trigger 4 different sound effects, like a battle cry, a snarl, a hiss, and like a snort. And that was a mixture of all kinds of animal noises, making up fantasy noises. I think there were like lizards hissing and horses snorting and pigs squealing. Everything was in there, and that mixed together, that made Arthur.
Oh man. In regard of what you just said, that you had there a lot of freedom to actually express yourself. Question in a rather opposite direction for Florence this time, because Florence had a rather troubling start there, and she had to, well, witness that her dad died, that she now has to work in the bakery, not where she actually wanted to. How did you actually cope with this such kind of backstory? So I would like to ask there, Han, how actually she get into the character?
Well, I did feel sorry for her, of course, but I've been in a similar situation as well many, many years ago. And so I could really feel her also, like the troubles she had to go through. And that made it actually a bit more easy to like slip into the character. And I really admired her courage to overcome it. And her strength also. And as I said, portraying her came somewhat naturally because of my own experiences in that regard. And that was actually kind of nice, but also a little bit weird, I guess.
It was definitely great what you actually done with Florence. She was a lovely character on the show. And I think everyone felt for her
It was
especially.
very well written as well, which is something that Cheetah and Icebox always excel at, I think, like making lively characters that are actually believable. You know, that they don't seem like made-up characters, they seem like real persons. And that's actually really great.
Definitely understandable there. I think this also gives us a good transition to actually one of the rather larger twists actually that came in there, that's done for pretty much the first time, I think, that one of the bad guys actually changed his position during the show and became one of the main cast from the good guys. I'm talking about Cal. How was this pretty much for you guys, folks?
Cal was not a bad guy. Come on. Well, yes, he did bad things, definitely. And I absolutely disliked him at the start of the show. I absolutely disliked him. That's why I played him like that. He had to be disliked by the people, by the audience, and of course the rest of the cast. So he was rude. He was imposing. He was imposing himself on everybody else. and he had no regard for anyone's feelings. So he was really a bad person, but I don't think he was the bad guy. He was pushed into this position because he didn't know what else to do. He's someone who just follows orders. You give him an order. You might have noticed that during the show, he's talking a lot and he's trying to win the upper ground until you give him an order. Then he steps back and just does what you want him to do, and that works for him very well. And he says, "Okay, that's my order. That's what I have to do, and I don't have to think about it." And that's what changed over time. Then he started to think, "What did I do? I am the one who deserves to lie there, not Will." That's what he said, and that's why he said that, because he realized that just taking an order is not just, I'm doing my job, but it's taking responsibility for the things you do, even if it was given to you as an order. And you always have the opportunity to say, "No, I'm not going to do that," or fix your mistake at some point. And that's what he tried to do. Yeah.
How was it actually for you? Was it difficult to actually play rough? Maybe at other characters or even people at that time?
Actually, no. Because as an actor, you do what the role wants you to do, right? And if that means to shout at another character or to shout at your fellow actor because we are so close to each other, then that's what you do, right? And nobody really takes it personal because they know it's your role, right? And you're playing your role, like these guys there. They're just playing their roles and trying to distract each other. But you play your role as best as you can, and that means being rough to other people on the stage, yes. But you have to be convincing.
And you also did it very well, because I couldn't stand Cal. Well, Florence couldn't stand Cal, but I couldn't either because, well, we already talked about that.
We did. But I guess it's, it was very well played. So in that regard, people hated him from at least the beginning, but it changed. Especially when you gone to the Venosian, actually. So there was one scene where you had to also speak two different characters at the same time. It was later on when... 2 times, sorry. How was it actually for you? That you had to talk 2 characters in the same scene that only one you can play?
Yeah, that's something that we did a lot in the earlier shows, because we didn't have a lot of people who actually wanted to speak a role and had the ability to do so. So we have one guy, in German it sounds like, we say Puppenschüttler. That's the puppet shaker. That is someone who just stands there and shakes a puppet while it's speaking, while another person actually does the voice acting. And that's what we did a lot in the older shows. So that was nothing new to me, but it's always training in focus, because you have to know which character is the one that you are speaking right now, and stop moving your hand when you're voicing that other character. Otherwise, that looks very, very silly, and everybody knows what's going on. So I had May in the farmhouse scenes. There was 2 scenes. There was the one with the whole gathering of people, and the second scene when they brought back Will. And in both scenes, I had to voice both characters, and we tried to separate them as much as possible. So at one time, Cal just moves over to the side and just sits there and does nothing, while I can focus myself on May. And the other scene was a bit more back and forth, even between the 2. So you're arguing between 2 characters at the same time. That's it's a training in focus, but it's a lot of fun to do, and speak different accents.
I totally understand. It was great. And it's absolutely great to see that you managed to do both very seamlessly. I don't think that many caught it that the same character was spoken by the very same person. But I think you had some experience there to speak some, female characters. I think some of the older fans maybe still remember.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Well, then my last question for Cal here is, since you played at least a little bit bad guy, how would you actually feel to maybe play the opposite around, that you have a good guy that is becoming a bad guy?
A good guy becoming a bad guy? I could see that happening. What I can't really see is myself playing the bad guy. I'm just not cut out for that. I'm really not the bad guy. I don't really enjoy that. I know other people in the team do. They really like playing the bad guys. I'm not one of them. But I'm not sure if that actually happened before. But I could imagine having a good character turning bad, being corrupted by something. Yeah, I could imagine doing that.
Being corrupted by his own ambitions, or perhaps that they want to do good or
Could
something
be.
like that. That would be awesome, actually.
I think there are many reasons that how people actually can turn bad. And I think most of the best villains are usually those who have a good reason for themselves, and thus are also the hero of their own story. So,
Dr. Isaiah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, I have some more questions from the community, and I have a little bit of time to actually read them out. So give me a moment.
Okay.
What are your favorite
That's always the best part.
What are your favorite puppets or characters, and why?
That's easy for me.
Okay, then go, Icebox.
Favorite, for different reasons. I have several puppets or several roles that are favorites for different reasons. Overall, I enjoyed playing Null the White Rabbit most of all, because it was such a wacky character, and he was so outside the story, but still the main driver of the story in his eyes, that it was really fun to play him, and we had that special setup going on with him, so that was special as well. From an emotional point of view, River Song, definitely. River Song was my most emotional part that I played, I think. And if you haven't seen Keepers of the Light yet, please stop listening for the next 10 or 20 seconds, because I'm going to make a major spoiler, right? So playing River Song and knowing what is going to become of him right at the end was agonizing, because I knew I was playing towards his doom. And that was hard. That was really hard.
Understandable.
Spoiler over.
Now, it was a very emotional role, I understand that.
Yeah.
And it was very, very well played. I guess many people felt for what River Song actually lived through and how he ended up. But don't reminisce too much about past shows that are not Skies of Astar. Pan, how about you? What was your favorite character or a puppet you ever played?
I think the three puppets I appreciated playing the most, because they felt good and had a lot of expressions, were Florence, of course, because she could do this thing with her eyes that she could not just close them normally, but she could also open them really, really wide, and that was useful. I also liked Alice a whole lot from Demon Hunters, because she was just so unusual, and she was also really nice to play. And then there's also Frostwind. It's kind of hard to tell why I like her, I think. First of all, the puppet is really comfortable. It's just, it's not as snug as some of the others. She's really, really liked, and that's great for a long show. And also her character, her role really stuck with me. It was one that I had a very hard time letting go of, actually, after the show. Also because of her connection to River Song and everything that happens to her and this whole world.
Well, thank you very much. I think you listed up some very, very great characters. And most of them actually had a happy ending in the regard. So, not like, for example, with River Song.
Yeah.
I mean, happy ending, more or less. Think about Frostwind for a second.
Yes, I know.
This guy knocked her up, and then in this weird post-apocalyptic world, she actually has to be a single mom. Great.
Well, he didn't left for just some cigarettes. I think that's at least something.
He left for a smoke.
Yeah,
Got smoked.
I knew something was up when he said he wanted to buy some cigarettes, although he was never smoking once.
Oh well, we have to go on, otherwise we are running out of time. Tani, your beloved character.
My beloved characters. If I would pick 3 as well. Yeah, like I already said, Hayes is definitely my most favorite character, because I have like the best connection, and I really love the feral puppets, because they are quite a challenge to play, but also they're so nice and different, and I like animals in their feral form, so that was really beautiful in every way. So Hayes, definitely. I think also Visonia, which was the white vixen of the Pompeii show. So I think that was actually the first time that we were using the anthro puppets, I think, with the rods and everything.
That was
the second show? Okay.
Yeah.
And
on EF17 we started with Null and with Void.
Right.
And we had the tigers.
And then I was playing we had the feral tigers. That's right. For me, it was the first time with playing those anthro puppets with the rods. And also, I gave her a little bit of foreign accent, so she was also one of my favorites. And she's also still sitting in our bedroom, and is staying with us. And of course, the first one, also probably because I've played her for so many years, is Mika, which is my dear good old snow leopard Folkmanus puppet. Mm-hmm. And she was also just fun to play, and when she got in her screaming mode, and she's also really dear to me. And actually, I would love to see those old characters, those puppets like Poke and Lori and Mika. At least Mika, maybe see her in those new anthro forms puppets. Maybe at some point we will see them as well again. Who knows?
Maybe. I have 2 last questions because we're running out of time. The first question is if we should ask our director if he wants to pick his favorite.
Favorite show or character?
Character it was.
Favorite character? Oh my god, I've created so many. I love them all. I think my current favorite is Hayes. I just love Hayes. Hayes is awesome.
I think many people can absolutely agree on that point. Hayes was phenomenal, and pretty much the point of a spirit animal. So yeah. Last question, because we have to wrap it up. Otherwise, people will be very mad at us, and we know that. Oh, we have 3 minutes longer. That's unusual. Okay. The question I want to state, because it was also a question from the audience, is if you ever want to make another story inside of the Astar region, or at least in the same kind of universe. I think we already did.
Yeah, the problem is with that. If we were to make another story inside the Astar universe, it would have either to be set in the past, before all that happened, or we would have to build 20 authors. Because everybody would want to see Great Erdizia, right? Mm-hmm. The island.
10 little author babies.
Yeah, so it is very unlikely that we are going to do the thing in the future. It could be that we do something in the past, but I'm not sure if there's enough meat inside that world to actually put a story there. But if there was, I could totally see that.
There probably wouldn't be an author there, so
yeah,
I think some people might be disappointed about that then.
We might possibly return to another universe, though.
Yeah, that could be. There's a slim possibility that happens.
Which one can it maybe be? Well, let's see.
We'll see. We'll find out at some point.
I'm just taking a look to the right and want to hear. Do we need one more or? Okay, then we just continue.
All right.
Okay, there's
I'm here all week. That's actually true. I'm on vacation for the next week. So
A question: what was the song of the doctor he was humming? Was it Die Forelle? A very interesting one.
you actually would have to ask Leonard because we don't know.
Yep, I don't remember it.
No, it was just
I don't know. I'm in music. In that case, I'm classical music illiterate.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Okay. Yes, I think we can wrap it up at this point.
Also scripted.
Yes, it actually was, I think, an idea by Leonard, by the way. Unfortunately, he is not here with us right now, but there are a lot of more people actually behind the show who are doing a great job and did a lot of different kind of characters there. So also kudos to those. So maybe in the future we'll have also a quick talk with them and what they actually did with different kinds of characters. And also give them the opportunity to tell us a little bit about how their experience with the Puppet Show is. In that regard, I thank you very much that you had the time to speak with us today, and I hope that you will have a lot of fun with EFO during the next day, and also a very, very good night.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Bye bye.
Stay
See you
safe.
around.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.